every dragon, every known rider, and the order in which each bond was formed. This guide follows the published Westeros chronology, with television differences called out where they matter. Dates are approximate when the histories never tell us the exact year a rider first mounted their dragon. Before the list, one rule matters. A dragon may accept several riders across its lifetime, but never two living riders at the same time. A rider is also never known to replace one living dragon with another. The bond is personal, dangerous, and not inherited automatically. Our order follows the first known rider, then each successor. When Fire and Blood gives a dated event but not the first flight, the tenure is marked approximately. House of the Dragon sometimes changes ages, survival, and identity. So this is primarily the published chronology, with the screen canon noted separately. The royal dragon line begins with the Conquest Trio. Aegon the Conqueror rode Balerion, a black dragon born in Valyria before the Doom. His sister Visenya rode Vhagar, and Rhaenys rode the silver-eyed Caraxes. Their bonds began before the conquest, so exact starting years are unknown. Caraxes has the shortest complete record. Rhaenys remained her only known rider until both were killed in Dorne in 10 after conquest. Balerion and Vhagar survived their first riders by decades, which is why their succession chains are the longest and most politically important. Balerion first carried Aegon the Conqueror until the king died in 37 after conquest. Vhagar had deliberately waited for Balerion and claimed him after Aegon's death, riding him for roughly 11 years. 6 years later, young Arya Targaryen disappeared on Balerion for more than a year. She returned mortally ill, and whatever happened during that journey was never explained. Decades later, Viserys claimed the ancient dragon and flew him only once around King's Landing. Balerion died in 94, roughly 200 years old. Viserys never bonded with another dragon. 4 riders, but only one brief final flight for the last. Vhagar outlived Visenya, her first rider, and remained unclaimed for almost 30 years. Prince Balon claimed her in 73 and rode her until his death in 101. Laena Velaryon became Vhagar's third rider by her early teens and remained bonded until dying in childbirth in 120. That same year, Aemon claimed the newly riderless dragon. Their bond lasted about a decade and made the Greens terrifyingly powerful. Vhagar was 181 when she and Aemon fought Daemon and Caraxes above the God's Eye. Both dragons and both riders died. Her 4 riders spanned nearly the entire first century of Targaryen rule. Quicksilver first belonged to King Aenys. After Aenys died in 42, his son Aegon the Uncrowned claimed the Pale Dragon. That second bond lasted only about a year. Balerion killed Quicksilver in battle, demonstrating how enormous the Black Dread had become. Dreamfyre had a very different history. Princess Rhaena bonded with her by at least 35 and rode her for nearly 4 decades. Dreamfyre then spent years without a rider before bonding with Helaena Targaryen. Helaena rarely flew after becoming queen, and Dreamfyre died in the Dragon Pit during the Civil War. The show visually hints at her much earlier, but preserves Helaena as her named rider. Vermithor and Silverwing formed the longest royal pairing. Jaehaerys bonded with bronze Vermithor in 34 and rode him for roughly 69 years. Queen Alicent first flew Silver Silverwing in 36 and remained her rider for about 64. After both monarchs died, the dragons lived riderless on Dragonstone for decades. During the dance, Hugh Hammer claimed Vermithor and Ulf White claimed Silverwing. Those new bonds lasted less than a year. Hugh and Ulf changed sides and both men died at Tumbleton. Vermithor died in the fighting. Silverwing survived the war and became wild again, her eventual fate unknown. Caraxes first carried Prince Aemon, whose exact bonding year is not recorded. By 105, Daemon Targaryen had claimed the lean red bloodworm. Their partnership lasted at least 25 years and ended in the fatal attack on Vhagar above the God's Eye. Meleys, the Red Queen, was first ridden by Princess Alyssa from roughly 75 until her death in 84. Rhaenys claimed Meleys by 87, creating a bond that lasted more than 40 years. At Rook's Rest, Rider and Dragon chose to turn back into battle against Sunfire and Vhagar. Both died there. These were not inherited mounts. Each dragon independently accepted a later rider. Rhaenyra first rode Syrax at 7 in 104 and remained her only rider for about 26 years. Sea Smoke bonded with Laena Velaryon by 101. In the book, The dragon was riderless after Laenor's death and later chose Adam of Hull. The television version leaves Laenor alive overseas, making Adam's claim a deliberate mystery or change. Rhaenyra's sons each had younger dragons. Jacaerys rode Vermithor, Lucerys rode Caraxes, and Joffrey rode Caraxes. Exact first flight dates are uncertain. Caraxes died with Lucerys above Shipbreaker Bay. Vermithor and Jacaerys died at the Gullet. Caraxes died in the Dragon Pit. Aegon II's dragon was Sunfyre, celebrated as the most beautiful dragon of the age. Their bond existed by 120 and lasted through terrible injuries to both rider and dragon. Helaena had Dreamfyre, though she was not an active wartime rider. Daeron rode the Blue Targaryen, probably from childhood, but the exact year is unknown, and Aemond commanded Vhagar. The Greens had fewer ridden dragons than Rhaenyra's faction, but Vhagar's age and size changed the balance. Sunfyre eventually killed and consumed Rhaenyra, then died from accumulated wounds. Targaryen was mortally injured at Tumbleton. Dreamfyre died beneath the collapsing dragon pit. Desperate for riders, Rhaenyra invited people with possible Valyrian ancestry to claim riderless dragons. Hugh Hammer survived Vermithor's test. Ulf White claimed Silverwing. C. Smoke actively selected Adam of Hull. Nettles used a different method in the book. She repeatedly fed sheep to wild sheep stealer until the dragon accepted her. All four bonds began around 129. Hugh and Ulf betrayed Rhaenyra. Adam remained loyal and died fighting. Nettles vanished with sheep stealer, leaving their final fate unknown. House of the Dragon gives the sheep stealer storyline to Rhaenyra's path, but through season 2, it stops before confirming a completed riding bond. Baelor rode the small, fast moon dancer and fought Sunfyre. Young Aegon III rode Stormcloud once, escaping the Gullet while the wounded dragon carried him home and died. In the book, Rhaena later rode Morning, one of the few dragons born during the war to survive it. The hatchlings Morgul and Shrykos were bonded to royal children, but never ridden before dying in the dragon pit. Grey Ghost avoided humans and had no rider. The enormous cannibal was feared for attacking other dragons and also remained unclaimed. Bonded does not always mean ridden, and a named dragon does not automatically belong on a rider list. Almost 2 centuries after the last dragons died, Daenerys hatched Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion. In both book and television canon, she becomes Drogon's rider. In the published novels, no one has yet ridden Rhaegal or Viserion. The television story goes further. Jon Snow briefly rides Rhaegal during the final season. The Night King kills Viserion, raises him as an undead dragon, and rides him against the wall. Daenerys never rides either of those two. By the television finale, Rhaegal and Viserion are dead, while Drogon carries Daenerys away. The rider chain ends where it began, one living dragon making one choice. Which dragon and rider had the strongest bond? Tell us in the comments. If you enjoyed our video, please like and subscribe to Annie Stories for more complete story guides.